My Korean husband.
Hey guys, I'm Nicola.
I'm Mr. Guan.
And we're from the My Korean Husband blog. And today we are going to talk about 6 challenges of international relationships. So for those that don't know, we are an international couple. So you are
Korean.
I'm Australian and we live in Korea. So often in movies when there's an international relationship and the guy, says, I don't care, I'm going to move to your country and live with you or whatever it is. It's so unrealistic, right?
No.
They never think about the logistics of actually being in an international relationship.
There are so many things to think about
Yeah.
it before.
Yeah, so many things you got to think about. So we are going to just talk about 6 of those, and we're mostly just going to list them, and then we're going to expand on it in some later videos. So later, we're going to talk with some of our friends who are also
Yeah.
in international relationships, and we're going to explain more of it later. Number 1.
Visa.
So people actually don't think about visas that much, right? Like they just think, oh, I'm in love and we're going to be together. This is probably one of the most important things to think about. Now, just because somebody's married doesn't mean that they can stay in the same country together, can they?
No.
No. So
They need to get a visa.
a lot of people are very
Yeah.
surprised about this because they think, oh, we're married. Why can't we be together? Do governments care if you're married?
No.
No. So visas are very time consuming and often very expensive. And now for the Australian visa, so you have Australian residency, right?
Yes.
And that cost about $3,000.
About $3,000.
And now in Australia, just this year, it's gone up to $7,000, which is pretty bad. And there's a lot of terrible reasons for this with the government. We don't want to get too political, but basically they're exploiting international couples, and there's like a underlying racism to it as well. So you might not care that much about politics, but it's going to affect your relationship if you're in an international relationship and what the visa requirements are. But it was a lot easier in Korea, right?
Yeah, it's easier than Australia.
A lot easier than Australia. But for the Australian one, I think it was like this thick
Yeah.
of what we had to submit. It can take even years to actually get approved, right? So your relationship and your life is in limbo. Luckily for us, we got ours quite quickly, but you have police checks, you have medical checks. They check your personal emails, they want proof of your relationship. It's so invasive and so expensive and so time consuming. So if you're in an international relationship now and you think it might get serious, start documenting your life now so that when you go to do a visa, it's a lot easier because you've kept all your records.
Yes.
You also might have to leave the country and then come back to get a visa. Like every country's got their own rules, and there's things that are really tricky, like, oh, you're supposed to be somewhere else when you apply for it. So you might actually have to be apart for a little while as well.
Number 2.
Okay, time frame. So if you're in an international relationship, you might have to decide some things pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
So if people are the same nationality, they don't have to think about this thing.
They don't need to.
They could date for years and years and then, oh, we're going to get married and that type of thing. But we had to decide pretty early on if we wanted to get married, right?
Yes, about a year.
Yeah, so just 1 year later, we're like, okay, we're going to get married. We're going to do this. We're going to make this work.
Yeah, I think if you are in international relationship, you need to think about if this relationship is really important, because you have to do so many things. Like you have to give up many things and so many things you need to do.
And you got to think about it early, right?
Yes, you have
Very,
to.
very
Yeah.
quickly. So you have to be very confident about your relationship and that this is what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of this, some relationships don't actually work out, right? So for every relationship that succeeds, there's probably a relationship that doesn't work out. And there's a lot of factors, like maybe they were too young to make the decision, maybe they didn't think about it carefully, maybe something changed like that. So you do have more of a risk when you have to be like, all right, we've only known each other for this amount of time. We're going to get married. Are we going to do this? Yes?
Yes. Do it then. Number 3.
So bank accounts, taxes, money, all this type of stuff to think about.
Yeah, because you need to have money in both countries and have both different account.
Yeah. So you have to have like a new bank account in the new country you're moving to, especially if you're going back and forth. You might have money in this country, but then you need it in this country. And there's all the logistics of things like that.
Yeah, also if you earn money in both countries, you have to pay tax.
There might be tax in two different countries as well.
Yeah,
Or-
it's kind of complicated, but
Complicated stuff like that.
you need to think about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you need to go to the jail.
I don't know if you're going to go to jail, but you might have some
Problem.
difficulties with tax laws and
Yeah.
just managing money in different bank accounts and all that type of thing.
Number 4.
Different dynamics depending what country you're in. So one of you is going to likely be more dominant in one country. So I'm more comfortable in Australia, you're more comfortable in Korea. So when we're in Korea, I have to look to you for a lot of the time. I rely on you for a lot of things. So this might change the dynamic of your relationship a little bit. So it's something to think about, it's something to be aware of, because it's likely that it will be like that and it will change something in your relationship. Also, one person is always going to be missing their family. So there's always going to be that person that
Yeah.
is not with their family. So at the moment in Korea, I'm not with my family, but you're with your family.
Yes.
Number 5.
Work.
All right, getting a job in another country. You might be really qualified in your country for something, but then not as qualified in another country because you don't speak the language fluently or something like that. You might have to get a job that you actually don't like, but you need to because you need money, right?
Yes. Yeah, it can be very difficult. Number 6.
Different cultural expectations depending what country you are in. So now that we're in Korea, there's certain things that are in Korean culture that I have to do for your family or on
Yeah.
certain days, that type of thing. There'll be different cultural expectations. And the same way in Australia, my parents expect certain things of you.
Yeah.
My mum always expects you to help her in the garden, and my dad building stuff or that type
Yeah.
of thing. Because you're the son-in-law, you're in the family, and we're doing all the Aussie stuff in the backyard. There's an expectation of you, the same way that in Korea there's an expectation of me that on this day I've got to wear a hanbok and I've got to do this ceremony, or
You
this,
make dish and
I'm supposed to make this thing or do
Yeah.
that thing. There's lots of things like that. So that's going to come into your relationship, and it's something to think about and ways that you have to adjust to different cultural expectations. Okay, so that's 6 challenges of having an international relationship, and like I said before, we're going to expand on these topics in later videos. But if you're just starting an international relationship now, then these are some things to think about. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and they can...
follow all the social media,
And-
go over to the blog
Yeah.
and see all the comics.
Yeah, we've got comics on the blog about our relationship and living in Korea and cultural differences and everything like that. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my god, it's so cold. It's so cold. It's so cold.